Eye contact is one of those really important social communication skills that we need to have. There are social rules that we know about eye contact and how we should use eye contact. And so if you're the listener, it's expected that you're going to make eye contact 100% of the time with the person who's speaking. So if somebody's speaking to you and you're listening to them, you should be looking at them all the time. The comforting thing is, though, that the speaker isn't looking at you all the time. So the rules for the speaker are slightly different. Because if, as the speaker, you look at somebody all of the time, it actually becomes really freaky. It's really off-putting if somebody just stares at you the whole time while they're speaking to you. What normally happens is that we talk and we perhaps look away, we muse, we look down at our nails, we think about something, we're talking away, and then we look back. And when we look back, that's when we want to know that the person is still looking at us, which is why, as the listener, you have to look all the time for those fleeting moments when the speaker will look at you. So think back to the last few conversations that you've had and try to work out, is that how it went? Because I'd be pretty sure that for all of you, that's how it works. The thing is, though, that there are 2 times when we do make sustained eye contact as a speaker. All right? The first of those is when we're deeply, intimately in love with somebody. At a candlelit dinner, there's a good chance that you sat across the table from each other, perhaps holding hands lovingly on the table, and you mightn't even have said anything to each other, but it was easy for you to look at each other. There was no discomfort. There was no looking away, feeling shifty, feeling a bit on the spot. It was very comfortable to just look at the person. So whether they were speaking or you were speaking, you could continue to hold their gaze. Now, that's important when we think about our children, and even more important when we think about our teenagers. Because at one level, we have a very intimate relationship with our children. But as they grow older, the intimacy changes. All right? And so while you might be quite happy to stare at your child lovingly still, or your teenager lovingly while you're talking to them, they're not going to appreciate it so much. And even though they do love you under all those layers of hate, there is a point at which they're going to think, this just isn't right. So even when you're trying to be nice to your teenager, sometimes if you force them to look at you, it can be just a little bit awkward, all right? The other time when we will have sustained eye contact as a speaker is when we're in conflict with somebody. So I like to call it the conflict eye stare. That's the time when you look at somebody and you'll be cross, they'll be cross, and you'll know that the first person who looks away is the loser. So you don't look away, and you hold the gaze, and you hold the gaze, and you hold the gaze. And eventually somebody has to look away first, all right? The ideal situation is when it's your child, not you. Because we are, it is true, they are the winner. Whoever can hold the gaze the longest is the winner. And so again, if you think about when you're having a row with your child, most of us, the first thing we will say to them is, look at me while I'm talking to you. Isn't it? Now, at one level, it's good that they look at us because, again, the research has shown that when a listener is looking at you, they're more likely to be paying attention to you. That's a good thing. But if you're in a conflict situation and you're forcing them to look at you, what might actually be happening, of course, is that it's just going to increase the level of conflict. So when you say to them, look at me while I'm talking to you, and you're having a row with them, actually, you might be making the situation worse.